And we continue at 2:05 in the afternoon, live from Universal City.
We are broadcasting live from the Universal Hilton at Over the Edge, the Union Rescue Mission's annual event to help out people experiencing homelessness in Los Angeles, where you can sign up at urm.org/OTE. And if you want to, you can go over the edge at the roof of the Universal Hilton and go down 25 stories. I did it last year, and our executive producer, Art Webb, is going to be doing it any minute now. Last year, he was dangling a little bit. But if you want to do this, or you just want to help out the Union Rescue Mission, because they have been, unlike the city of Los Angeles, very effective at transforming people's lives, go to the website and donate. urm.org/OTE. Donations being matched up to $500,000 as the URM tries to raise $1.8 million this weekend. And right now they're at 1.726.
We've seen a lot of people come down the side of the building here at the Hilton. I wonder if Paris has done it. Or maybe Kathy. You think they'd let a competitor do it? Because, you know, J.B. Pritzker, his family owns the Hyatt. Maybe they'd rely on one of those straps to keep him alive.
Might need a bigger one.
Yeah, no kidding. All right. It is our pleasure to welcome our next guest to the program, and he is here at the Hilton outside the pool with us right now. He is the ABC News legal analyst and also the host of the Too Many Lawyers podcast, which you can download wherever you download your favorite podcast. Mr. Royal Oakes, welcome.
Oh, what a pleasure to be here, John. It's just so fun. And here we are. I mean, it's a remote. I mean, with you real radio guys. Could I just actually have a point of personal privilege here?
Sure.
Every once in a while, a guest host for you guys. Every once in a while, you have me on to bloviate, but I've never been a newsman. I've never been able to actually read a news story. And I found a story here. You got ripped off the wire. Would you mind if I read this story so I could feel like a real newsman? I'm going to try to do Tom Looney's voice. Okay? Are you okay with this?
Go right ahead,
okay.
Yes.
It's the news with Royal Oakes.
Yesterday, a West Covina man was shot with a starter's pistol, then beaten with a relay baton. Police think it may be race-related. I feel like my life is complete, John. I actually read a news story. I didn't just talk about it and bloviate it.
You know, you have a talent for this, and if you'd like to get into this, we can help you out, but you're going to need to take a massive pay cut.
Well, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to send a tape of the story I just read to Lewis, and we'll just see if it works out. I don't want to take Tom Looney's job, but, you know.
How about Anderson Cooper? Will you take his job?
Let's see. I'd probably get some free jeans from his mom. Okay, 2 people got that joke. Thank you very much.
All right. Well, we're pleased to be joined by Royal Oakes in person here at the Universal Hilton. Royal, there's a lot of legal issues right now in the news, to say the least, so let's go ahead and go through a couple of them and have you explain just exactly what it all means. Let's start out with the top story in the country. Former FBI Director James Comey was indicted by a grand jury on alleged false statements and obstruction of justice charges. This, according to Fox News Digital. They exclusively reported back in July that he was under criminal investigation by the FBI, and the probe into Comey centered on whether he lied to Congress during his September 30th, 2020 testimony about his handling of the original Trump-Russia probe at the FBI, known inside the Bureau as Crossfire Hurricane. According to Fox, they're also reporting that former CIA Director John Brennan is under criminal investigation related to the Trump-Russia probe. What do you make of all of that?
Well, it sounds like ancient history to a lot of people, but it has been 5 years. As a matter of fact, the reason the indictment is just coming now, John, is because the 5-year statute of limitations expires in 2 or 3 days. So that's why it's happening now. But essentially, as you reported, what happened 5 years ago was that Comey was in Congress. He was testifying, and Senator Ted Cruz was grilling him. And Cruz said, look, you're the head of the FBI. There was all this Russia collusion investigation, and we now know that, it was basically a crock. But We want to know if you authorized somebody in the FBI to go anonymously to reporters and start talking about Trump being guilty of collusion. Did you do that, Mr. Comey? And his answer was, no, Senator, I didn't do that. Well, the Trump administration and the Department of Justice thinks that he lied under oath when he did that. So they're charging him with lying to Congress, obstructing a congressional investigation. And if they've got the goods such that a jury convicts him down the road in 6 months or 12 months, he could go to prison for 4 or 5 years or more.
And before he was indicted, this was taken to a grand jury, correct?
Exactly right. And so when people say, well, this is a weaponization of the legal system and Donald Trump is just going after all of his enemies, he probably is going after his enemies. But the question is, does he have the goods? Does he have evidence of criminal conduct? And in a grand jury room, there's no Donald Trump. There's no defense attorney either. In a grand jury room, there's just the smiling, kindly prosecutor making nice with the grand juror saying, here is the evidence that we believe points to the fact that James Comey committed some felonies. Now, if you agree with us, we want you to vote to indict him. And then the standard, as you know, John, is probable cause, meaning would a reasonable person suspect that a crime has likely been committed? If a grand jury thinks yes, then they indict, which they did here. Now, as we know from Perry Mason and TV and the O.J. Simpson case, if you get to trial, you can't just say, well, a reasonable person thinks it probably would happen. You have to prove guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. But to get the indictment and force him to go through a trial, that's all you need. That's a low bar, and they've satisfied that bar. Now the question is, what will the judge do? Will he whittle it down or toss it out? And if it gets to a jury, will the jury convict Comey?
You mentioned the statute of limitations and that playing a role in him being charged this week. If the government wants to amend it, if they want to add more charges to it, is that something they now have the ability to do? Or does the statute of limitations say, oh no, this is the deadline. If you don't file the charges by such and such date, you can't do it?
Yes, they're entitled to go ahead and amend it. Just now that they've beaten the deadline and the charges are out there, if they feel that there are other matters that should be brought in that are related to or arising out of the fundamental factual pattern, then they would be able to amend it. But I mean, even if they don't amend it, pretty serious stuff. I mean, theoretically, it could be 20 years for obstruction, 5 years for lying. As a practical matter, federal guidelines give you much lower sentences. For example, next week, Sean Diddy Combs is going to be sentenced in New York City. He's got 2 counts he was found guilty of, totaling 20 years. Well, everybody assumes he's going to get maybe 4 years because that's how the federal minimum guidelines work. Same thing with Comey. He's probably not going to go away for 25 or 30 years, but he could get a few years behind bars. It'd be interesting hanging with all those prisoners as the former FBI director.
Well, from the point of view of a criminal defense attorney, who I'm sure he's interviewing right now, after leaving the government, Comey just didn't go away. He became somewhat of a cable news talking head. I don't think he had a contract with any particular organization, but he wrote a book, and he talked a lot about his time in the government. He talked a lot about Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton and others in the book. And then he went on a media tour where he talked about all of those subjects, sitting down for Q&As, trying to get those book sales up as much as he possibly could. When you do something like that, sure, you sell more books than you would if you didn't go on the shows and talk about it. But you're also going on the record talking about subjects that ultimately could result in criminal convictions. If you're a defense attorney and there's this huge body of evidence that now exists due to his various interviews and what he wrote in the book itself and other places where he's given public presentations or recited, his version of the events in public forums, I would imagine that that's going to be a complicating factor for them.
Absolutely. I mean, reading through the book as a defense lawyer, you're just going to get flop sweat because you never know what you're going to see on the next page that could hurt you. And similarly, prosecutors are, of course, gleefully going through every paragraph in all of his book and his writings and his public statements. He's probably smart enough, though, John, as a former FBI director and having all sorts of other fancy legal and law enforcement enforcement jobs. He's probably smart enough to have known that he better be kind of circumspect about what he has been saying the last few years, because he knew that there was a chance that Donald Trump would return to power and try to go after him. There might be some evidence that he did lie. So I would think that it's unlikely that there's going to be any smoking gun evidence in there. But you never know. As I said, both sides are going to be pouring through it very carefully.
We're joined by Royal Oaks, ABC News legal analyst. Royal, let's shift gears here because a federal judge said that 2 high-level Justice Department employees may have violated her order limiting public opinions about the prosecution of accused killer Luigi Mangione by reposting President Donald Trump's statements about the case on X. Of course, President Trump believes that Luigi Mangione is guilty, as do, I would assume, most people who watch the news. But now the judge is saying, well, if you're retweeting the president when he comments on that, you're operating outside of where the court wants you to be.
You know, I think that's a crock. I mean, let's face it. This guy is on surveillance camera assassinating a guy, shooting him in the back of the head. Everybody knows what happened there. Now, it doesn't mean that a jury is necessarily going to convict him, but, you know, the facts are pretty clear. For the president to come out and say, as he has, this guy is a pure assassin, and for his Department of Justice people to repeat this kind of stuff, well, you can say, you know, what's wrong with a prosecutor saying, you know that guy we've charged with murder? We think he's guilty. Is that a hanging offense? Now, the judge is ticked off because the judge says, well, you know, I've got rules, and we don't want to prejudice a jury. But is this going to prejudice a jury? I mean, when you've got overwhelming publicity, like think back to in the day when there was the horrible bombing of the federal building in Oklahoma City. All the publicity was like a tsunami, and they had to move it to Denver because the whole town was arrayed against him. But is Donald Trump saying, and his DOJ people saying, we think this guy is guilty? I don't think that's going to prejudice anybody. I mean, everybody's seen the CCTV footage, so the jury's going to make up their own mind.
And on subjects like this, if we're reporting on the trial, we're reporting on the crime, until he is found guilty by a jury, we have to say that Luigi Mangione is the alleged killer of the insurance industry executive. If he is found guilty, then we can say, without a qualifier, that he is the killer of the insurance executive. However, even though the jury hasn't come back with a verdict, it is perfectly legal for private citizens to have an opinion on the guilt or innocence of the accused.
No, absolutely, and everybody does, because, you know, not that many murders are right there on video. It actually brings me back to some political history, John. Richard Nixon was in the White House, and Charles Manson was on trial for murder. Well, Nixon announced to the press, Manson's guilty. You know what Manson did? He somehow got a copy of the LA Times that had a headline that blared Nixon, Manson guilty, and he waved it in front of the jury to make the point that, oh, they're being unfair, they're prejudged, the president wants to put me in prison. And, you know, he asked for a mistrial and so on, and nothing happened of it. I mean, the fact is, people follow high-profile news stories, and people say things. It doesn't mean that a jury is going to give an unfair decision.
And also, people think that when you're serving on jury duty, you're not talking to anyone about anything going on in the world. You're not looking at news programs on television. You're not reading newspapers. Jurors are humans, too, so they're aware of what's going on in the world. And if they're following the rules, they're just trying to block as much of it out as they can.
Well, that's right, and that's what the jury selection process is for. Everybody troops into court, and the judge grills them and the lawyers grill them. Now, have you heard about this case? How much have you heard? Have you already formed opinions? Oh, you have kind of are you sure you can be objective? So, you know, you go through all that process, and then you hold the trial. Sometimes you sequester the jury. They put them in a hotel, and people worry, oh, what about the conjugal visits? You know, you might hear, well, if they have a bad marriage, probably they're talking about the news instead of doing other things during the conjugal visits.
In fact, maybe I'm wrong. Was this the hotel that the OJ jury was sequestered at?
I don't think so, because we're in lovely Universal City, and I think that the hotel they stayed at may have been the Hotel Intercontinental, which is just 2 or 3 blocks south of the courthouse.
I see.
They would have had a nicer time here at the Universal Hilton.
This would have been quite a trek to go downtown every day.
Yes. Yeah, it'd be almost as bad as Marcia Clark and Chris Darden having to drive all the way to Santa Monica every day for 9 months, which is where the trial should have been for O.J. Simpson, but don't get me started on that.
Remember when Jay Leno performed for the jury?
Oh, no, I'd forgotten that. That's a great tidbit.
He performed for them when they were being sequestered because they couldn't watch the show because all the jokes were about the OJ trial. We're speaking with Royal Oakes, co-host of the Too Many Lawyers podcast, which you can download wherever you download your favorite podcasts. Royal, a viral video is circulating on social media involving a Santa Clarita dentist who centered her practice around her support of President Donald Trump, joking that she dials back the the drugs for patients who aren't Trump supporters when she does the drilling. Is she looking at any trouble?
Absolutely not. And I think Exhibit A in the fact that she's not looking at any trouble is that you couldn't even get through the story without laughing about it. Everybody knows it was a joke. The dental board apparently has even looked into it a little bit. And she didn't dial down the anesthetic for a non-Trump fan. I mean, I suppose it's possible. But no, I think it's just, she's worried about cancel culture. A kind of a similar case I heard about. A doctor was about to perform a surgery, and the guy was going under the anesthetic. And just as he's going out, the doctor looks down at him and says, "Look, David, don't panic. This is a simple procedure. Everything will be okay. David, don't panic." And the patient looks up at the doctor and says, "Doctor, I'm not David." And the doctor says, "Oh, no, that's my name." Now, the doctor had a little fun at the expense of the patient. Are you going to put her in jail for telling a joke about anesthesia?
Well, maybe you just show up to the dentist's office with your own person to help you out with that. You just show up with Conrad Murray, and you're good to go.
That's right. Your lawyer, whatever.
As far as we know, most dentists are equal opportunity sadists.
Well, I did see Bill Murray's performance in that movie years ago, and that didn't look any fun. I guess he was the patient, not the dentist.
Have either one of you ever been to a dentist where they knock you out before they perform whatever procedure they need to perform?
No. What I understand is that general anesthesia, although, it's pretty safe. It's rare that you pick up a paper and, "Oh, my friend Bert died under general anesthesia." It's really rare, but it does happen. Whereas the local anesthetic, that's not going to kill you. You're going to be able to survive the procedure.
Whenever they get the Novocaine out and they get the shot ready to go, it looks like some kind of medieval torture device. It doesn't look like something that should be done in 2025.
I don't understand why anybody would go into dentistry, because I can't think of any profession that is more hated. Not that you personally despise the person. It's just that everybody's so fearful and they hate the process. Why would you want to actually put yourself through that and do it? I would think being a veterinarian or an MD or something would be more appealing than being a dentist.
I don't know. Maybe they just like haranguing people about eating Skittles. Royal Oakes, what's coming up on the next Too Many Lawyers podcast?
Well, we are going to talk about Sean Diddy Combs because, he beat the rap on the big obstruction of justice and racketeering charges that could have sent him away for life. But a week from today, at 7 a.m. Los Angeles time, he's going to face the music, and a federal judge in New York City is going to tell him what kind of sentence he's looking at. The betting is 4 years, but you never know. Could be higher, could be lower.
All right, and that, of course, is on the next Too Many Lawyers podcast, which you can download wherever you download your favorite podcast. Royal, thanks so much for stopping by on this Friday.
You bet. Thank you.
It's the John Phillips Show, live from the Universal Hilton. And we continue live from Universal City.
We are broadcasting live. It's the John Phillips Show from the Universal Hilton at the Union Resuce Mission's annual Over the Edge event. It's happening today and tomorrow, where people are signing up to help out the Union Resuce Mission and going over the edge of the roof of the Universal Hilton and rappelling down 25 stories. If you would like to sign up or you just want to donate, go to the website and help out, urm.org/OTE.
And right now, we're pleased to be joined by the CEO of the Union Resuce Mission, who you can get online at urm.org, Mark Hood. Mark, welcome.
Well, thank you guys for having me. It's a pleasure to be with you today, and thank you for turning out for this great event.
Well, thank you so much for hosting us out here. And this is a wonderful event that you guys have had for many moons. And I'll tell you, the weather this time around is just about perfect for an event like this. It's a little overcast. It's nice and cool. You don't have to deal with the beating sun and the heat and everything else that we have to deal with sometimes in Southern California. And if you're going to go off the side of a building, this is the weather you want.
It's absolutely perfect. And you're right. Last year it was a little on the hot side. But this year the weather's been perfect and people are having a good time. And we invite people to come on down. Just go out and donate and get you. There's plenty of slots left. Love to have you come go over the edge with us today.
And so far this year, it's been a smashing success.
Well, it has. We're trying to raise $1.8 million, and thanks for so many generous donors. We're getting close, and been just so many people that have come out and enjoyed the day and gone over the edge with us. So it's been a real community event. We're so thankful for it.
And I'm sure you get questions all the time, especially you raised $1.8 million last year. You're looking to raise $1.8 million this year. I'm sure people ask, what does that money do for you? What does that money do with the organization?
That's a fantastic question. So first of all, 86 cents of every dollar that's donated to Union Rescue Mission goes directly back to the people we serve. And we talk about serving people. We pride ourselves on not just being a shelter, but a solution. We're helping people find their way home. So when you donate to us, you're partnering with an organization that provides free dental, mental care, legal care, medical care. Everybody that walks through our door has a caseworker that's working with them to find out what caused their homelessness, so we can generate a customized program for them to end homelessness, to get them back into housing, get their GEDs, get a trade. So when you donate to Union Rescue Mission, that's what you're donating to. You're donating to a solution that's helping people find their way back home.
Earlier in the day, we spoke with Frank Motek, who is here with us right now, about what a critical moment in time this is, particularly for you guys and for dealing with homelessness in general, where AI is right on the cusp of just exploding. And AI is going to do a lot of things for the world, a lot of great things for the world, including finding cures for diseases, things like schizophrenia and addiction and other issues right now that we're fighting on a different front. But hopefully, as we know more and the knowledge increases, we can deal with them in ways that are more efficient. In the meantime, until we get there, we still have to deal with this problem. And right now, that's what you guys are doing. You guys are making sure that we throw everything that we have at it right before we get to that point to where technology and AI will be able to do things that maybe 5, 6, 7 years ago we never thought was possible.
Well, that's true. And one of the things that people don't realize about Union Rescue Mission is, although we do deal in recovery, we want to get people past what caused that homeless condition. We also know that the real end to homelessness means getting people back to a healthy community and getting people into a living wage job. So we're really focused on that community approach. We're really focused on giving people tools in their toolbox. And when you mention AI, we're constantly looking at how can we offer better tools for our guests. We're working with an organization now that has developed an AI learning tool to where you get to pick your own avatar. They create the casework for you. So when you go home to, study whatever classes you're studying, we're going to have a AI partnership that allows people to have an online tutor at home to help them down that path.
And being at that cutting edge is so important, and all of that takes money, of course. You can't do it without having the resources to have access to these tools.
Well, and I think especially in the Los Angeles area, people are so frustrated because we've thrown so much money at the problem not to see positive results. And that's the reason I'm happy to say that Union Rescue Mission is worthy of your donation, because we are very efficient with the money and we're getting good solutions. We're nearly 95% privately funded without generous donors. And, everybody listening and supporting this event today, we could not do what we're doing. But again, we think we're a solution. We put over 1,000 families in permanent housing last year. We help people find jobs. We're helping people get GEDs. We're putting people through trades. I don't think there's any other organization out there that has this holistic approach as we do towards solving homelessness for the individual.
Well, and you compare that to Karen Bass's Inside Safe program in the city of Los Angeles that has a budget of $880 million a year, and we don't really know what the results are for that program.
Well, it's funny you would say that, because the Inside Safe program is a really big program. The mayor came to our mission over a year ago and said, hey, what you guys are doing is working. I would like to participate in this. And so we're participating in Inside Safe in a really small way. We have 53 beds that is part of the Inside Safe program, but we have a completely different approach. To us, it's a part of the ministry that we do. When those people come through our door, they meet the same caseworkers, the same loving staff that everybody else does. The men that come to us are not leaving. They're staying with the program. We're finding people permanent housing and through that Inside Safe program almost every single day. So I always tell everybody, I don't know how Inside Safe is working around the rest of the city. I don't look at that too closely. But at Union Rescue Mission, it's been a huge success. Very efficiently, we are getting men off the street that the city brings to us, and we're getting them into permanent housing. We're getting them into jobs. We've had several that have even joined our programs. So I think it's just an example of the model works. And for us, we just want to fish with a bigger net. We want more people that we have the opportunity to help and solve whatever has caused their homeless situation and help them get back home.
One of the things that drives people crazy, whether it be through tax dollars or whatever, when they believe that money is being spent to prevent homelessness or to help people who are living on the streets, and they find out that money is going to pay for drugs, or money is going to pay for drug paraphernalia, or money is going to pay for something. So in theory, if you're going to use, you're not going to get a disease, or you're not going to get, HIV, something along those lines. But providing them drugs is making the problem worse. It's not making the problem better. Getting them off the drugs and getting them in a healthy situation is a way to help that person live a longer, healthier life. You guys don't buy them drugs. You guys don't buy them paraphernalia. That's not something that will happen with a donation to you guys.
Not only do we not buy it, we don't allow it in our facility. And one of the things that we communicate, listen, if you come to our facility high, we're not going to kick you to the curb. We're going to find a place for you. We're going to find a place where you can spend the night. We're going to tell you when you sober up, if you want to come back to us, we're there. But when you're with Union Rescue Mission, we require you to be sober when you're with us. We make sure there's no drugs and alcohol in our facility. We're the only facility that takes children and two-parent families and moms with kids. And not only do we believe that if you're going to recover your life, if you're going to get your life restored, you've got to break those addictions. But not only that, because we do have families there, because we do have children there, we want it to be a safe environment. And not only a safe environment, we want it to be a fun environment. We want it to be where families are enjoying themselves, kids are running and playing, and they feel safe. And so we just, we have a different approach towards making sure that the people come through our doors have an environment that is conducive for healthy recovery.
How much was fentanyl a game changer for homelessness, not just in California, but beyond? Just the severity of that drug, how addictive that drug is, the damage that drug causes.
Well, fentanyl is a nightmare because the addiction happens so quickly, and because it's so deadly. It's so easy to overdose on fentanyl, and sometimes one exposure to it is all it takes to drive that addiction. And what's scary, and we've seen this, drugs continue to develop. Used to be heroin was the worst thing out there, and compared to fentanyl, it's almost a has-been drug. And what's scary is the people that want to be predators and prey on people are going to continue to drive more advanced drugs that drive stronger and more lasting addictions. And that's why it's so important that we educate people, they know what's out there, but more importantly, that we have places like Union Rescue Mission that is helping them, break that addiction and get their life restored. Because I don't think anybody grew up thinking, when I get big, I want to live on the sidewalk. I don't think anybody had that as a goal when they were growing up. So it's our job to remind them that where they're at in this moment in time is not their life. It's just where they're at right now. And they can move beyond that with just a little bit of help, and that's what we do.
When you talk to people who you're trying to help, how often do you hear the story, something along the lines of, I thought I was only getting Xanax, or I thought I was only getting marijuana, or I thought I was only getting cocaine, and as it turned out, there was fentanyl in it, and that's how I got addicted to fentanyl. And I asked that question because, there's a court case going on right now in Orange County. I'm wearing an Angel shirt involving a former Angel pitcher, Tyler Skaggs,
right,
who thought he was getting painkillers because his arm hurt from pitching. And as it turns out, the painkillers that he was given were laced with fentanyl, and he died of an overdose of fentanyl. And I'm sure he had no clue he was consuming fentanyl. He thought he was consuming something else, and lo and behold, that's what it was. I assume he's not the only one that's happened to, and that's a big problem.
It is a big problem. There's different things that they lace drugs with these days, fentanyl, horse tranquilizer. There's things out there that are just deadly and dangerous. But one of the things you find when you work at the mission is that the conversation you have way more often is, how did you become addicted? And I'm going to give you an example, because I think everybody has a stereotype when they think about addiction. But I'll give you a couple examples. We have a man that's with us right now that his addiction started. He was a very successful businessman. He was a single parent. He came home and found his daughter had committed suicide, and he lost it. And he walked away from everything and became addicted. Have many women that have come to our program that were, living what the outside world saw as a normal life, but they were experiencing domestic violence to the point that they were self-medicating at home until it became an addiction that landed them on the street. And so addictions are a horrible thing, but more often than not, at least the people that walk through our doors, those addictions are people that are trying to mask pain and mask trauma in their life, and they become hopelessly addicted to these horrible drugs. And once we can break that addiction and they can remember who they are and their life gets restored and we can deal with that trauma that got them there, it's amazing what happens. They actually, are hungry for recovery and restoring their life once they get to a certain point. We had a young man that we asked him, how did you know that you were at a point in Union Rescue Mission that your life was getting back where you wanted to be? And he said, I woke up one morning and I remembered I could dream again. I could have goals again, and I could get my life back. And that's pretty powerful when you get to hear things like that.
That's incredible. And those are the kinds of transformations you see every day at the Union Rescue Mission.
We do. Just this past weekend, we had a graduation, and one of the men, I've watched him in his journey since the day he came to us. And the man that stood there on the podium talking about his journey did not even resemble the man that walked through the door. And he'd been separated from his family. His wife had left him. His kids weren't talking to him. His mom and dad said, hey, enough. He'd been kicked out of several missions. And he graduated that day, and he said two things that absolutely touched my heart. One was, my 5 kids, my ex-wife, and my mom and dad are on the front row today to celebrate my graduation. And he said, I've never graduated from anything. And he said, the second thing I want to share with you is somebody gave me a Bible when I got here. And now then I can read it, because when I got here I couldn't read, and now I can.
Wow.
And so those are the kind of transformations that we have the privilege of witnessing each and every day.
Guy with 5 kids. I didn't know you graduated one of the Osmonds.
He's got a future.
Maybe he can sing. Mark Hood, CEO of Union Rescue Mission, thank you so much for stopping by, and thank you for all that you're doing here today and all you're doing year-round.
Thank you, guys, and thank you for your support. Appreciate you being here.
Thank you so much. The website is urm.org. And, of course, if you want to go down the side of the building here at the Universal Hilton, there's still time to do that both today and tomorrow. Thanks again.
Thank you.
It's the John Phillips Show. It's the John Phillips Show, live from Universal City.
We are at the Universal Hilton, going over the edge with the Union Rescue Mission. They're doing this today and tomorrow, so if you want to participate and go over the edge of the top of the Universal Hilton and rappel down 25 stories, you can do so by going to the website urm.org/OTE. And we want to give a big shout out to the Union Rescue Mission for having us, their CEO, Mark Hood, Richard Newcomb, the VP of Philanthropy. Thanks so much for bringing us out to this. We want to thank our people that helped put this together for us, including Kevin and Trish and Art. We want to thank everyone back at the station, Lewis and Wayman and Herman, our screeners, Adam and Kelly, our salespeople, Debbie and Ilya. And look at this. Art Webb, who just went over the edge, is going to tell us about his experience. Art, get on that microphone right there. Okay. Art Webb is our assistant program director and executive producer, and he just went over the edge.
I did, for the second year in a row.
Did you get stuck this time?
I did not get stuck this time, and the funny thing was, the guy from last year remembered me up there. And he goes, so this year, are we going to behave? And I said, yes, we're going to behave. We're not going to go too fast. We're not going to get locked up. We're not going to try and go head first. No,
yeah, because what happens is they tell you, be very slow, be very gentle.
Methodical,
If you go too fast, they put the brakes on you, and then you got to dangle for a while.
Yep, and that's what happened to me last year. I didn't want that embarrassment this year. So, no, thanks to Mark Hood and everybody here at URM. It's really a wonderful event. And when you're standing at the top and you got that breeze and you're looking over the 101, you really, you feel it. You feel the height.
Now, what was the difference this year in the fact that it's kind of cloudy and overcast today, as opposed to when you did it last year? It was like this time of day, 2-3 o'clock in the afternoon, in the beating sun.
I did not have the rays from the mirrored windows in my eyes, completely blinding all visual. I was able to take a look around and appreciate the freeway below me and the nice pool down here too. So.
That's the scariest part that I remember is once they have you go over the side and you look down and you see the freeway and you see the pool and you're like, well, if this doesn't work out, I hope I hit the pool.
You're coming down one way or the other.
Now, we just spoke with Mark, who's the CEO of the Union Rescue Mission. What do you think about his idea of doing it next year at the Luxor?
I do that because then you could slide down. Didn't they do that on Fear Factor one year? You could just slide down the Luxor.
Slide down the side.
Any of it. I'll sign up for any of it. I love this stuff.
All right. Well, you're
you
more of a man than we are because you did it and we didn't.
Hey, I did it last year. I get credit. I have video evidence.
All right.
It's your turn next year.
Oh, no. No. That is not going to happen.
If you want to be a part of this event, it's going on today and tomorrow, urm.org/OTE. And at the very least, donate. You've heard what the Union Rescue Mission does, and a lot of times they do what the city and county of Los Angeles cannot, and especially the state of California. So help out by donating. Go to urm.org/OTE. Help them finish up this fundraiser, raising $1.8 million to actually get people off the street. urm.org/OTE.
And that's going to do it for us today, but we'll be back on Monday at noon for another live edition of The John Phillips Show.